Happy Wednesday, Internet. It's the 19th of April, and I'm going to give you the daily market recap rundown here from a sentiment analysis perspective. We had a 1 hour candle that changes things. Well, not really. It's all still kind of the same from yesterday, but I got some levels here to talk about. I'm going to run through BTC, ADA, and MATIC just like yesterday. And for those of you who watched yesterday, thank you very much. And for those of you who gave me a thumbs up, if you did, I haven't looked at the analytics yet. Also appreciate that because it makes me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside when I get affirmations from strangers on the internet about what I'm doing. So I'll leave my face up. My branding's over here anyways. Might as well. I'm the great NREC, right? I mean, fucking whatever. But at least then you can see my hand movements and I'll point it. Oh, I'm not even going to point the right direction. You'll just be able to see what maybe my dog will sit up and it'll be like really awesome. He's on my lap right now. 29,280, 290 for BTC. I'll scroll down a little bit to see MATIC, 111 for MATIC and 42 and change for ADA. But yeah, 1 hour candle doing its thing, right? And MATIC and ADA, even AVAX, they responded in kind to that. It was a pretty substantial amount of volume. It was almost 20,000 BTC that got sold off in that 1 hour. This is just on Binance. So all this is USDT Binance, by the way. And what we had here, we had a established max support range of a level provided about 8 a.m. Eastern on BTC yesterday on the 18th, and that got hunted for on that candle. It just went straight for it. Our low was 29,000 flat, right? And wow, my dog is all up in my business. There we go. And now we bounced away from it. We spent the last, it looks like 7.5 hours, something like that, right? Yeah, 6 hours? 7. Okay, so the last 7 hours, just kind of hovering around that range. And I'm going to describe the apprehensions that I have about still going long on it personally, right? But at the same time, like the risk mitigation of it would not be very difficult to kind of deal. But I'm not going to tell anybody how to trade. I'm just saying what I see, right? So as far as ADA is concerned, the same kind of thing. We had the sentiment support resistance that was well established way back on the 9th of April. And it's still going strong at 41.1 cents. And we licked underneath it on a wick, but our close was at, what is this, 40, the close is at 41.5, right? So just got back above it and then kind of moved away from it. Now we're 42. So a little bit of decent recovery for these alts. Granted, you're going to get more volatility on alts and BTC. It looks a little bit flat here, but these are a little bit more spiky, right? Same thing with MATIC. Here we have the max support at 110. And this candle here closed right above it. Our low is a little bit below it, but we have it rounded out to 2 decimals. I'll change that at some point, but whatever. And then now we've kind of gotten all the way back up to 112 and kind of hovering in and around that range, 112, 111. So things are looking okay. Right, big sell down and not a whole lot of response after that 1 hour was done, but some recovery, right? Not moon juice or anything like that. Not looking here like massively bullish or anything, but looking down here, this is just our raw levels, kind of like the way like an Ichimoku cloud in a way, but not really. But looking at trend levels, we fired off a trend event. This was before yesterday's video, where the median price action expectation was at 29,168 on a return to mean, and that's pretty much right where BTC went. And now we're playing between the trend event and one sig's at 29,418. I'm going to leave this up. Take note of the levels, right? The red ones are up top, the green ones are down below, and that's just about the orientation of how the trend levels are married to one another because they do work together, but just take note of the price. 3s, harder to get to. 2s, easier to get to. 1s, solid range, okay? And just like, again, ADA, brand new trend event. And that T is at 42.1. And the 1s are at 42.5 and 41.6. It's a pretty decent range. I don't think we get that underside just yet. I'm not turning macro bearish for the week at the moment. I'm just looking for, I'm letting this rest, right? I'm going to let it rest for a couple hours and have a look at it again. But I'm going to pay attention to these levels very closely to see how it plays out over the next 4 hours. And I'd be looking for any kind of open and close underneath that 42.1 on ADA to see if it's going to start doing a downturn. Same kind of thing for BTC. Look for something that goes underneath that trend event price, a TE price. But on MATIC, this is a pretty interesting one. We fired off a trend event yesterday, pretty much. I think it was pretty much about the time that I was recording the video, right? Or a little bit after, or no, a little bit before, at 116, and then it hit the 1 sig, which was at 117. Played with it a little while, and then it touched the trend event again, and then the sell-off. I'm not saying MATIC. I'm also not saying MATIC predicted the market outcome or anything like that. It's just that there was the way that the sentiment levels work is the way that the market is allowed to respond, or basically should respond within these ranges and within this volatility expectation based on the sentiment data and how my system is telling me. So the lowest side of this was 111 on the negative 3 sig, which is like the bottom. I mean, granted, we can get to -4, -5. Those are overextensions that help us measure how far outside of like how hyper bearish or hyper bullish the market is actually being and responding to certain things during big events, right? Or weird movements, right? So normally when we're looking at the market underneath the sentiment landscape, it'll operate between 111 and 122. That's a huge MAPE, but the levels inside of it are actually more reasonable. So between the 1 sig and the positive 1 and the negative 1 sig, we have a 2 cent distribution there, delta. And, so playing that right here would be great. Getting back to it's another story. So right now we're actually playing between the -3 and the -2 sig, which still is only 2 cents, right? It's a 113 and 111 price action. So without getting prices on the upper half of that, basically without closes above 112 and change, like 112.3 or something like that, you can really kind of rest assured that like MATIC's going to find a home down here, and we might get another trend event down in this region. After periods of volatility, these trends, they can expire themselves out after like 30 hours, 48 hours, something like that. So it's just one of those things. But to corroborate this, we look at the macro sentiment support and resistance for all these assets. And this is a long-running algorithm to allow us to map out what kind of response that we normally see and lack of response that we don't see to sentiment data in the market, right? And right now, we were above on the 14th, we were above the 2+, right? The SR 2+. This is a support and resistance 2+ level at 30, right? 30.59, 32 my ass, 30,591, right? So we got above it a little bit, right? For about 12 hours or something. But then we got underneath it, and that became our resistance level. And it's been playing out that way since the 15th, or 4 days later. And then it just rejected it. I mean, obviously we played with this level here before on the 17th as well, but it didn't overtly get underneath it. Now we're cleanly underneath it. You can see open and closes happening underneath it. That's why I'm not getting overtly bullish on BTC just yet. It could still try to find a return to mean, which the mean right now is at 28,589. So I'm going to leave this up on the screen here as well. Screen cap it, take note, watch these levels. Again, over the next like 4 or 6 hours, they're significant. You're going to see price action in and around these ranges. And when you actually get back into the SR +1 and try to find your way back to the SR +2, right? The SR 2+, whatever, to 30.50.91, you have to be able to get above cleanly 29,484 to even think about a 30.591 range. And on top of that, max resistance is still at 32,381, but getting to that level really does change the narrative of BTC and honestly the market, to be quite frank. So here with ADA, we are playing above our max resistance, and it just, instead of turning that into support and like sending it like we saw with AVAX, or like I've seen with AVAX, sorry, but AVAX did do that, by the way. Just look at the price action chart, you'll see it. But this just rejected all the way down to the SR 2+ again, bounced away from it because it missed it, like just not because it missed it, but it missed it just a hair. And now it's hovering in the middle, but on the upper half between the 2+ and the max resistance again. So between 40.5 and 43.4 cents, there's the current range. It doesn't make me think maximum recovery, rah, rah, shish kumbah, right? But it's, again, this is why I'm saying it's not, hey, we found bottom, we're going to moon, or any of that kind of conversation. MATIC, almost the same exact story, just playing inside the lines, right? Maximum resistance was up at 120, haven't touched it. It was playing above the SR2 plus at 114, hitting ranges all the way to the 118 and change, and then right underneath it to the 1 plus at 111. So now we're on the lower half of that, so it doesn't look overtly bullish just yet. I would put some focus on paying attention to 112, right? How does it get above 112 and some bits, right? So just corroborating some things. I hope this finds you well, and I thank you guys for coming by and checking out what I'm doing. And more tomorrow, I think. I mean, today I was going to skip today, but it ended up being an interesting day. So talk about it. If something interesting happens overnight again, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Other than that, do a Friday one or something, Later.